What's good, fellow running enthusiasts? Low Budget Lizard here. If you aren't unemployed enough to know everything that's going on in track and field right now, I will tell you one thing that just happened. A 16-year-old just ran a 3:48 mile. Trackflation is absolutely crazy. Sam Ruthe from New Zealand already had a 3:53 before this, and then he runs 3:48. What? Anyways, I'm here to tell you what exactly this means for the sport. Starting with, what does it mean for New Zealand? First of all, I'd like you to look at this. This is the New Zealand senior records. The fastest time ever seen is by John Walker in 1982, ran a 3:49.08. That has now been beaten. Not only is Sam Ruthe the fastest under 18 New Zealander, he's not even just the top under 20. He is actually the fastest miler New Zealand has ever seen. And just to put that 3:48 in perspective, the mile world record, is Hisham El Garouge's 3:43. He is only 5 seconds away from the world record. This is almost the same thing in percentage of difference between this time and the world record. If a 16-year-old sprinter ran 9:75 in the 100-meter dash. If you're a sprinter, that's how I'm gonna convert it for you guys. Think about how insane that sounds. This is incredible for New Zealand. This is a non-championship year, as in track and field there is no Olympics or World Championships to compete at. The IAAF is hosting the World Ultimate Championships. What's the difference? I have absolutely no idea, but I digress. It is a non-World Championships or Olympic year, which means this dude has a full year to figure this out, how to start consistently hitting not just sub 4 but sub 350 as well, potentially. I'm not sure exactly where the 2027 World Championships are going to be held. It's going to be in Beijing. Alright, in Beijing next year, we could very well see a New Zealander run in the final. A 17-year-old New Zealander may run in the final. I did have an order for this. I am going to switch it around. Now, we say this kid could run a world record in the next couple years. This kid could win a gold medal. This kid could be the next great miler. We have to understand that he is just a kid. No matter how fast he is, he's even younger than I am. But the thing we have to consider is that he hasn't had a lot of experience yet. Again, he's incredibly fast, don't get me wrong, and he's put up a couple of good times now, so we know he's not just a one-hit wonder. However, this is the problem we had with Gout in 2025, was because we saw the viral clip of him running that 20.04 back in the end of 2024, that we expected him next year to be ready for the World Championships, make it to the final, maybe win a medal or something like that. It was too much pressure. And I think that actually hurt his performance. If you look at times that he ran in both the heats and the semifinals, he didn't run anywhere near his best times. And that's nothing against him. It's a combination of lack of experience, because that was his very first World Championships, but also he had this enormous pressure of being a viral sensation on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, that I think it probably got to him a little bit. He likely felt the pressure, just didn't run as well. He didn't have that quite the same closing speed that he usually had. And obviously that could just be due to he's running against faster people, so he doesn't look as fast in comparison. But if you look at the numbers, he actually did run slower than he has in the past. And we need to make sure that this doesn't happen with Sam Ruthe. We've seen too many young prodigies go viral on social media, and then the pressure and just peaking early makes them have not as successful of a career later on as they could have. Obviously, people like Gout, Christian Miller, Cooper Lukenhaus, you could list off so many other names. Obviously, they're still young. They have time. to continue to improve, make more finals, and make even more of a name for themselves. However, the problem with social media in the track and field world is that it adds another layer of expectation and pressure on up-and-coming athletes who might not be experienced and well-versed in handling those kinds of expectations. Now, obviously, somebody like Noah Lyles, Fred Curley, Grant Fisher, Cole Hawker, those guys have been in the game for a while, and they know what they need to do. They have high expectations, but they've had high expectations for years, and they know exactly what they need to do to meet them, and so they do. Now, obviously, you do have outliers. Usain Bolt. No, not even Usain Bolt, because he had the age grade world record back in 2004, and then he went to the Athens Games and didn't run as well. Sound familiar to you? Especially in the 200-meter dash? But we need to make sure that we don't put too much pressure on Sam Ruthe like we have with the other top prodigies that we've seen over the last decade or so. We can skip over what this means for the IAAF. We all know what it means. He could, in the future, set records, get medals, blah, 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 blah. This is definitely just a snapshot of a bigger picture. Obviously, the prodigies we've seen, there's a lot more of them lately. So many of the age grade world records, even on down to like 13 years old, we're seeing age grade world records being broken every year, sometimes by multiple athletes. In the 100, we had Christian Miller in 2024, and then we had Tate Taylor, Maurice Gluten Jr., and then in the 800, we of course had Cooper Lukenhaus. Obviously, we have Sam Ruthe in the mile. We know what the reason is, but I'll say it anyway. Technology, especially in shoes and clothing, nutrition even, as well as coaching, have all improved drastically in the last decade or 15 years. Introduction of super spikes in 2021. All these new supplements, bicarb and whatnot, have all come out in the last couple of years, and there's definitely been new training methods. I mean, if you run track and field in high school, I'm sure you're aware of one or two of them. This is the problem with comparing the past to the present. Yes, athletes are definitely getting faster. We can't pinpoint the reason as to they're just faster. Obviously, an athlete in 2026 has a lot more opportunities to get faster than somebody from 1986. Carl Lewis, when he ran in the 1988 Olympics, let's pretend Ben Johnson wasn't there for a minute, because we all know what he did, but he ran 9.92. That would have gotten last place in the Paris Olympic final. Does this mean Carl Lewis is worse than all the athletes of today? No. But we have to compare the technology that existed. If we were to throw somebody, I'm a distance runner, I'm going to talk more about distance running. We throw Cole Hawker back into the year 1954 and had him race against Roger Bannister. Would Cole Hawker have broken 4 in the mile? Especially if we pretended that he didn't have the knowledge and the tactics that we now know today. Say his memories were wiped. He went back to the year 1954. He was given 1954 shoes and thrown on a cinder track. I believe that was a cinder track that Roger Bannister ran on. And his memories were wiped. There was no way Cole Hawker would run anywhere near what he can run now. I'm not sure if he might break 4, but probably not. That doesn't mean we should devalue records that are being set today. All we want to do is make sure we know that it's not solely because athletes are just better than they used to be. It's a combination of both. Obviously, you have to apply the resources you have to actually accomplish things. It's up to the athlete to do everything correctly, ultimately. But the fact that the nutrition, the substances, possibly, shoes, the clothing, the coaches, all this stuff plays a factor. Again, that doesn't devalue what Sam Ruthe did. yesterday. However, we have to just simply acknowledge that it's not just because athletes are getting faster. And what does this mean for the future? Say we covered what could happen in Sam Ruth's future. What could mean for the future of track and field? There is a human limit somewhere, but is that even true? Because I'm gonna make a really niche analogy. Thomas Malthus used to think the amount of resources grew at a linear rate. Population grows at an exponential rate, and eventually it would surpass. We'd have the Malthusian catastrophe. But he assumed that there was a limit on the production of using resources for usable goods. But he didn't factor in the advancement of human technologies. I could go into a whole spiel about that, but this is about track and field. I believe the same logic to disprove Thomas Malthus can be used in track and field. Obviously, yes, there is a human limit. I bet in 1954, no person could ever run a 3:43. The human limit was probably somewhere in the ballpark of the mid to low 350s if Roger Bannister was able to do 359.4 as just a doctor who started running. But how far can technology go? We don't know. Simply put, we cannot know, because it is the future after all. We're not supposed to know. So, it really is a mystery. Will a human break Usain Bolt's world record anywhere near the future? Sometime in the future. It's bound to happen. Eventually. But that time does not seem to be anywhere close because the fastest time run since Usain Bolt retired is 9.75 by Kashane Thompson, which is a full 0.17 seconds slower, which in the 100-meter dash is a lot. I'm going to try to find the fastest time ran in the last 5 years. Oh, see, we got Jakob Ingebrigtsen. 2023 ran 3:43.73, only 0.6 from the world record. It's really close. Josh Kerr did 3:45 back in 2024. We had Yara Nagus, 3:43.97. Last year, we had this guy from the Netherlands who ran a 3:45.94 in 2025. The mile world record will be broken soon. If you were to talk about a world record that's on life support right now, I would definitely think about the mile. Because we have multiple athletes who are mere second or two away. And if any of them have a good race with near perfect pacing, which does happen more often than you think, I think it can be done before this decade is out. Will it be Sam Ruth that does it? Maybe. Obviously, we have to see how he progresses this year. If he keeps improving like he does, this record will be gone in no time. But progress doesn't really work like that. It gets more logarithmic or whatever. There's a ceiling, and you typically slow your progress before you get to it. If there were a dark horse, as it were, that would break this world record, I think it could be him. I think he could be the person that does it. Now, like I said before, can't put too much pressure on him as the track and field community, because that will likely make him less likely to run the world record. But so obviously we shouldn't hold it against him if he doesn't do it. Obviously he's already ran incredible times, and we should all admire that. We gotta wait a few years. Let him develop as an athlete, let him gain experience, obviously. But I think one day it could be him. If Jakob Ingebrigtsen gets back into shape, I bet he could do it. Yara Nagus, same deal. Josh Kerr, I don't know. He's getting a little up there in age as runners go. He will be 29 this year. He's a guy. He's got a little bit of time, but not too much. This Laros guy from Netherlands is only turning 21 this year. He's only 20 right now. He could definitely do it. World records are meant to be broken. So obviously we should have expected that eventually this 27-year-old world record would get demolished sometime soon. I have one last point. What does this mean for other athletes? Athletes such as myself. Just think about the typical high school or collegiate athlete. what does this mean? What does this mean for athletes around the world? Middle distance or long distance. Now, obviously, it completely depends on who the athlete is, how their brain is wired, how they deal with people who are faster than them, especially internationally. I would put them in the 3 camps. One are the people that don't care. Like, obviously, they admire that kid ran that fast, but it doesn't really affect them, so they're not gonna think much of it other than, cool, this kid ran 3:48. The second camp are the athletes that use it as motivation. Hey, this kid can do that. It means it can be done, so maybe I can try to do it, or at least get as close as I can to it. That would be really cool. The third camp, it's what all the people that complain about trackflation, the discouragement because of, it's the same thing as your parents showing you a Facebook post of this 12-year-old went to college, graduated high school at 11, won a math competition, his very first one at 10 years old, beating a bunch of teenagers. They look at those people, or those people look at people like Sam Ruthe, and they wonder why they can't do it. A lot of them are putting in a lot of effort and aren't really getting anywhere, and they think they hit their ceiling. They don't realize that there is something about their training that they can change. Something will at least they can change to make them at least just a little bit faster. But they get discouraged because they can't run like Sam Ruthe does, like Jakob Ingebrigtsen does, like Josh Kerr, Yard the Goose. But if you are one of these athletes, if you think trackflation is discouraging you from trying your best, or continuing to try your best, if you're still trying your best, but you're getting frustrated that you're not getting anywhere near as fast as these prodigies who seem to be doing it effortlessly, just know, it's okay. Everybody has their ceiling. You don't know what your ceiling is. You don't know what heights you can reach. Obviously, are those heights a 3:48 mile? Probably not. But I think someone who can physiologically only be able to run a 5:30 mile and runs a 5:30 mile is just as impressive as somebody who has a ceiling of a 3:48 mile and runs a 3:48 mile. It's all about maximizing the cards that you were dealt. Not everyone can hold pocket aces at birth, but you can definitely keep waiting, keep trying, and see what your cards can do for you. And play your own cards right as you can, and you'll probably get far. Alrighty, that's enough yet from me. See a fellow running enthusiast, low budget lizard, needs some water. There's dust in my throat. Talk too much.